Hey guys, sorry about that. I had to flip things around here on the camera. So we got a new battery in there. We're on to the card side now, so we'll be able to share the story about relationships. We're talking about relationships for Tracilyn. I began to share with you a lot about the girls that I had dated. Not so much about my friend relationships. Whew, that's a whole nother day, a whole nother conversation there. But I try to throw that in. I'm on a tight schedule. I do bring this up a lot. You know, I am on a tight schedule. This was never intended to be rushed through. My heart and my passion actually was to travel and share my life story, and not on the street, not living life on the street, going through all the hard turmoils that come along with that, okay? A lot of people ask me, well, why don't you go? Why don't you just travel the street, hitchhike or whatever? No, that wasn't the intention. I was a fool for believing a lot of the stuff that I did. Can we say that? Can we say, and this is my final message, and you'll find out more about that in the end, okay? I don't want to start going off on a rampage about this, but things did not work out for me. I was living in Ohio. I was foolishly believing that there was this God out there somewhere. Out there somewhere, way out there. And he wanted a relationship with me. Okay. He wanted a relationship with me. So, and if you ever saw the Preacher Man from down in Texas, he's building up your hope and your courage. God has a big plan for your life. Yeah? Victorious life. Now you got to lift your head up, right? Kind of thing. Now we already know who that is. I don't need to mention his name now. But let's just say when you fall for stuff like that, you get in return. Can I just say, you get in return what you believe. And let me tell you something right now. This was not the way this was intended. Things spiraled way out of control because I believed foolish things like that God is way out there. Whatever you do, don't believe that God is way out there. God is right in there. God lives inside of you. Okay? He lives inside of me. Or he, she, whatever it is. God does. God does. Okay? I got a lot to talk about. That's a very sensitive subject with me. I'm looking forward to sharing a whole day of just my religious walk and my foolishness of listening to somebody on television and getting saturated within their ministry work. So here I am in the middle of nowhere. Originally, I wanted to sit down and take the time. I sacrificed everything. You're going to find that out. I sacrificed everything. I believed in a lot of awful things I had to endure and go through because I believed foolish things. Okay? So now instead of taking the opportunity to sit down, organize my thoughts in a peaceful, stable, loving home environment, I'm out here in the middle of the woods where I used to walk back and forth and do a lot of in-depth thinking. I wasted a lot of time out here. Talking about my dog meant the world to me, okay? Our dog at the time. A brindle boxer. He came into my life through a relationship. That relationship was unhealthy for us, if we're honest. Thank goodness we still talk. But that relationship was unhealthy for both of us for a lot of reasons. Let's leave that alone. We're getting into it with the dog now. I was abusive towards that dog, and I really regretted it at that time. I really did. And the day that I saw him with these surgeries, remember I saw the first surgery, now the second surgery, I called him over. He was scared. This is how I mistreated him, whether it was because I yelled at him or if I spanked his little tiny hiney. Okay, and I'm not, listen, please don't do that to your puppy dog. You know, I look back now and I totally regret doing that, even yelling at him. Okay, I'm so sorry about that with him. Eggs, if you hear my voice, and I believe you do, I'm sorry. And he knows I'm sorry. He came to me in a dream later years, I'll tell you about that. Later years after I had to give him up, my best friend. So I started to learn what it's like to make sacrifices of giving up what you love. Trust me, I learned when I had to ask her originally to let's find a home for her dog. What goes around comes back around. He came to me in a dream, and he had a long talk with me. He moved on, he transitioned on. Happier times. And just to let you know, this dog shared with me that it loved me and it knew I was doing the very best I could, and that everything was okay. forgave me. We had a great life together, and he told me that too. We had a great life together. You know, from this point on, we say it was the beginning of a great life for the two of us. And let me just say that when he came over, I made a promise to him. I said, buddy, I'm sorry for what I did to you. I promise you I'm going to do everything I can to treat you better, to love you better. And I said it quietly because I didn't want nobody else in the house to hear it. I was kind of embarrassed talking to a dog like that. Did you ever feel that way? You're talking to an animal? Is anybody going to hear you, make fun of you? That's the way I felt. And you know what? He looked up at me. Something like that. I'm not that good at it. And then he started shaking his little hiney. He had a little tiny hiney. Little tiny stubble tail. I knew he forgave me. And then I asked him, I said, come on up. Come on up. And he was so scared. But you know what? He had the courage to climb up on that sofa. He started way down at the end where my feet were, and he came up and he laid on me. And he just started shaking. And from that day, our whole relationship changed. Everything about it. And I had to learn to bite my tongue a little bit. Bite my lip. You know? I had to do these things because if I was being honest, I'm not going to ever hurt you again, intentionally. I'm going to do the very best I can to love you and take care of you. Then I'm going to have to bite my lips sometimes. I'm going to have to bite my tongue. I'm going to have to fight myself, the natural response to try to, from reflecting back on my childhood, instead of smacking his tiny little hiney, maybe pat it a little bit. You know, sometimes I would go through life and I'd pat it just a little bit and say, you are bad. You know, you are bad. That was kind of a joke to us because he knows what we had to endure and go through at that time. That being said, I started volunteering, taking him for long walks. We had it like a chain. So at that time, I was walking him on a chain, and he would lead me. He would lead me through the neighborhood. I was heavy. I wanted to lose weight, and I felt very strongly. You know, this dog, we are kind of panning him up in a cage, so he doesn't destroy the whole trailer. And, you know, it is nice outside. I need to get exercise. I got to be completely honest. I need exercise. And now I got a new friend. I don't have any other friends. I want to get away from the alcohol. I want to get away from the drugs. I want to get away from all this, eating this garbage. I was eating a lot of garbage, you know, very unhealthy food. And I wanted to start living a healthier life. I was reflecting back throughout my years of childhood. And let me just tell you that it was amazing. The difference that my body transitioned over the years. I think a lot of us, we go through that. We lose track of things, depression takes over, or anger, or whatever the deal is, and our body starts to kind of change its form. You know, we're not so skinny anymore, or what have you. Maybe our little flabby hiney, you know, maybe a little flabby hiney. And you know, the thing is I really cared about that. Because remember, I'm trying to deal with, my dream was to be an exotic entertainer or an actor or to be a singer, you know? And I really, not that, you know, we come in all shapes and sizes, but it mattered to me about being pretty. It really did at that time. And can I just say, we started walking outside often. But again, we're in an unhealthy relationship. And the last time that me and her got into an argument, because I don't want to talk a whole lot about that relationship, but the dog was chained up outside. Okay, often that's the way that he would go to the bathroom and stuff. At this time, it is extremely hot out. I mean, really hot. There's no shade over there. We don't really have a dog house or anything for him. My perception is I was upset because of everything. In all honesty, now, looking back, I was upset at everything in life. I just hated myself. Can I just say I hated myself and be honest? I hated myself. I hated everything. I hated my job. I liked the money, but I hated my job. I loved my friends. I loved my girlfriend at the time. I really did care about her, but I knew it was unhealthy. I knew she wanted to be with somebody else. And personally, I want to look like I was trying to make her look. I want to wear thigh-high boots, wear lingerie, and go down a couple bar rooms down from where we lived and strip and make a couple extra dollars and mingle with the guys. You know, is there something wrong with that? That's what I wanted to do, okay? And I sure did not have the body at that time to do it. You'll find out later on, I started getting myself in shape and I had opportunities like that and it felt good. It felt good because I look at that differently. It's an art. Any girls out there that are strippers, you work in the exotic adult entertainment world, know this. If anybody's talking trash about you or saying negative things, you know, if you're of legal age, if you enjoy doing what you're doing, do it. Do it. Do it and hold your head up. Hold your head up. Smile. All right? Because many people in this world wish that they could do that. Okay? Long to do that. Right? You got the talent. You're secure with what you look like. And that's what you want to do. Go do it. Period. Let's just leave it at that. If you can do it, you want to do it, go do it. Be safe about it. Be safe. Be safe. There's a lot for me to share in what I learned. And I also was friends with people in the BDSM and adult film from out in Hollywood. I had friends out there, okay? I ain't gonna mention no names, but I'm gonna end up sharing stories about that anyway. So it's not like I'm trying to build myself up. Being honest, I did everything. I did music, all kinds of entertainment. I was an escort for, over 3 years. Not that very long. I was in long enough for me to learn all that I did, and that's what I'm looking forward to share with you. It wasn't meant to be the rest of my life. I'm a musician, okay? But I had to, it opened up doors for me to explore sides of me that I always wanted to throughout my childhood, and to be that exotic dancer. It gave me opportunities to start pretending again, and tap into some things that I missed in my life, to learn how to brush up on my role-playing skills. I love to role-play, by the way. I love to pretend a lot. Yes. Spanking. Got so much to share with you, but check this out. So one day I come home. I'm hating myself. Things are going sour in my life and in that relationship. It was coming to an end. We both knew it. And I looked out my window. I said, the first words were out of my mouth when I walked through the door is, "Where's the dog at? Where's Riggs?" And I remember, I don't know what it was that she said. I was kind of a bulldog at that time. It was horrible. And I looked out the window and I seen the dog was chained up outside without any water. It was extremely hot out the day, and anybody who knows me knows I love the heat. So I insisted that she went out and brought him in. That's how much of a bulldog I became. I insisted that she did, and I don't want to go into the details of it, but let's just say that we got into disagreements about him being out there without any water and stuff, and that ended our relationship. Okay? But was that the reason? Looking back, I can say no, it wasn't the reason. It was a series of things that built up and built up and built up and built up, and that was just the final draw for both of us. I was disrespecting her by shouting out a demand to bring him in, and but I'll tell you, it actually hurt because I loved him so much that I cared that he was out there in the sun without any water. And to a lot of people, it's like, oh, that's no big deal. But I'm only sharing this with you, not to share the details of my life in that relationship. I'm very open about my life. I don't want to draw other people into this. It's a very sensitive subject because my perspective is there should have been shade provided and there should have been water there. Only over that situation. But overall, was that the reason we split up? No. It was time for both of us. Thank goodness we still talk. When she sees this, I hope that she realizes that I'm not insulting her at all. And that situation is very sensitive for both of us because we have two totally different perspectives about it. Okay? Two totally different perspectives. So please don't judge anybody or anything about that situation. Know that this here, I remember clearly as being the final draw that we separate. And it was hard. It was hard on both of us. She was sick of me. Time to move on. Time to get rid of this person in my life. And the hardest thing for me in that relationship, losing it, I want to be honest, was that dog. I didn't want to lose the dog. I didn't mind losing her. And looking back now, I didn't want to lose her. I wanted to lose all the stresses and frustrations that I was dealing with. I didn't want to lose her. I didn't want to lose you. I don't want to lose you. Now, at that time, and I still looking back, the hardest thing for me, after everything I went through, was to lose that dog. We had a history, it didn't start off the healthiest. you know, but by that time I was smart enough to get that that dog came into my life for a reason. And I don't want to lose him. In fact, I asked her, could I please share time with that dog? Is there any way we can get along just for that? Kind of like a kid, you know, kind of like with having a kid. And she did. She did. And let along, behold, it wasn't long after that, she called me one day. And her exact words were, I know you love Riggs. I know you love this dog. I'm going through some things, she was going through whatever, and she felt that it would be in the best interest while she's working out her life, ironing out her details, that I get the dog, that I can have the dog. As long as I promised, get this, I gotta hear this, I'm telling you, as long as I promise that if during the time that I have him and I need a home, that I consult with her. This was our child. It's very important that you get what I just said. You know, I can have the dog. She would like to see him. But as long as whenever I have to find him a home, if it ever comes to that, I need to consult with her. Okay, so later on in life we're going to talk about when I separated with that dog, I did not consult with her. This was 10 years later. Just about maybe 9 years later, maybe 8.5 years later. In all honesty, I think by that time that I finally got him, he's about a year and a half old, somewhere in there, maybe 8 months old, somewhere in there. He was a young pup yet. Trust me, he was a young pup, and it was hard for Tracilyn to keep up with him. Oh, so anyway, I'm going to pick up my bottle and continue to walk. Very sensitive subject, but I love her. I'm not saying anything bad about her. And with the dog, I'm fessing up. Please don't be mad at me because I'm telling you that in the beginning of our relationship, me and that dog, that I started off on the wrong foot. Because in the end, you're going to find out that dog's forgiveness for me and the way that we shared life from that time on until he was 10 going on 11. It was the greatest blessing for both of us. That dog was a spoiled little brat, and he knew it. Yes, he did know it. He went with me everywhere. I was a truck driver. The second trucking company I worked for, that dog came with me everywhere. He rode in the truck. Remember I told you he'd sit up there so proudly? I'd roll down the window so he could hang his head out. Everybody looked forward. They knew that once my truck pulled in, they knew it was me because the dog's head was sticking out of the window. And you wouldn't believe how many conversations and friends I made along that journey, having him in my life. And this opened up so many doors to relationships I would have never had, honestly. Isn't that something? Because remember I told you the cars used to open up doors to relationships that really a lot of times, yeah, there were some times that they ended up being relationships, how do I want to say this? Authentic relationships. You know, that they were genuine relationships. Somebody really wanted to get, it was a door that presented a door that made common interest for somebody to want to be friends with me. You know, but then we ended up actually becoming real good friends, and it had nothing to do with the car. It was just what initiated it. But that's what it was with this dog. You know, I could have that dog here where normally if I would walk up and down here, right, there might be somebody coming up through here without a dog or anything, just themselves. And we may be barely lucky to look each other in the eye. But when I had my dog with, let me tell you something. First off, they'd be wondering, is he going to jump up on me and bite me or anything? And I mean, it would start an instant conversation. And then they would start playing with him and stuff, and they would start talking to me. And I'll tell you, you wouldn't believe how many people I got to share the story of how our relationship, I was so proud of that. I was so proud that this is my friend I mistreated, and now we're best friends. And he loves me, and he always forgives me. He always accepts me. No matter where we go, he's like a magnet. I admired, he had muscle all over him. Oh my goodness, this dog, and let me tell you something, he ate the finest of food. This is a dog I took to the doctor on a regular basis, and I was very specific on what it was that I gave him for his diet, and we exercised together all the time. all the time. So he's eating healthy, he's working out. And let me tell you something, even in the truck, I made sure he had healthy food with him and plenty of water. It started making me think, because I looked at his body, all that muscle and stuff, and I wanted to be toned and stuff. I was still dealing with being a girl and things. But let me just say, tone is what I said, not muscular, toned. And the thing is, I felt safe with him everywhere we went. So just know that. I'm hoping I can get to talk a little bit more about my relationship with the dog. I might have to stop and download all this information right now. I want to finish things up with the girls that I dated. Okay, so hold on here. Oh, I got the final one that I want to talk to right now. Okay, we're going to get back to the dog. That's very important to me. It's very important. It's just that right now I want to talk about my son. Okay, I have a child. I want to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't know if through the blood if he's really mine. And I know this is also a very sensitive subject with his other parent. But I'm human, and for reasons as I get to share my life story, you may start to agree or maybe disagree. Maybe right now you're thinking, she's pretty pathetic, or this guy is pretty pathetic. You know, I don't know what you're thinking. I hope you give me an opportunity to share my whole life story, but if not, maybe this isn't for you. Maybe you want to move ahead or go back a few videos or something, or go into somebody else's YouTube page. I don't mean that in a mean way. But some of these subjects I'm going to be sharing with you can be very sensitive. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if he's my son, and I want to know. If you're out there and you're watching this, I'm sorry that I don't know. I want to know. I'd like to go get some blood work done and find out. And I'm going to tell you why. I think he is mine. I think you are mine. I think he is, but I'm not 100% sure. I want to know so I have a peace of mind, so he can have a peace of mind. Okay? Doesn't mean I don't love him. Doesn't mean I don't care. I care about you. I care about everybody. During the time that I got this relationship going with his mother, okay, I always spent a lot of time at that trailer by my grandparents' house. Let me tell you, that's a whole nother story there. It was during a very depressing time of my life. I was getting to be pretty much obese, you know, in my own way, heavy, very heavy. I was a power lifter, trying to be a man kind of thing, but I'm struggling with the fact that I want my 15-year-old body back, and I want to be dressing like a girl and wearing lingerie and put on makeup, and why can't I'm still struggling with, this is a time, why can't I have on a pair of shorts with the American flag on, but other girls can? I'm not dealing with it, I'm struggling here. I'm struggling. Okay, I'm struggling at this time in my life. I didn't want to be alone. I drank all the time, escape, watching a lot of television. Nirvana was big. Give you a big kiss and a hug. Would you like that? Oh, sure, Tracilyn, come on out. So anyway, with that being said, I got to meet, I was hanging out with my sister who actually lived next door with her husband at the time. And my child's mother, who wasn't at that time, was hanging out with her. They worked together doing recon. And can I just say, when I saw her, this was right after the time, briefly before I was working at a landscaping company, before I started working for this trunking company. And on my 21st birthday, the owner's son took me to Al's Diamond Cabaret in Reading, Pennsylvania. And that's where I met my fantasy. I got to see a live performance by Savannah, who was an adult film star back in the day. And to give you a little history on that, while I was living at this trailer, and even prior to that, I don't remember all the houses I was listening to, but my brother might not like me saying this, he had what they call a porn collection. It was an adult film collection. And a lot of the girls that were beautiful, the adult films back in that day, there was a lot of role playing in it, a lot of outdoor scenes, you know, come and chase me kind of thing. And I used to watch these films. And I think it was at Tracy Wells or Tara Wells or something like that. I had to look it up. But there was something Wells, I remember, beautiful, beautiful. She reminded me of Janet. And I remember watching her films, but I wasn't, listen, it wasn't, can I say this clearly? It wasn't for perverse reasons. I was in all of this. This to me was art. It was art. And I'm watching this, and I gotta say, I'm watching these films, and I'm fantasizing about being the lady and desiring to be with the men, and I wanted to be the center of attention, okay? And one of those adult film stars was Savannah. Savannah was beautiful. She had long blonde hair. I guess she had maybe some augmentation done, you know, for whatever reason, for the career that she was in and pursuing. And to know that this lady that I was watching on my brother's videotapes, and I'm fantasizing about being, that's why to this day why I like long hair, or blonde hair. Not long hair, Cher's long hair. Savannah's the reason why I want blonde hair. I looked on that television set of my brother's with this videotape, and I thought to myself, I want blonde hair like that. Okay? See how this starts happening? I don't necessarily want to be her. I want to be like her in the film. I want to be her in that film. A lot of this is confusing to me at that time. I didn't understand it. So anyway, on my 21st birthday, we're bouncing around here a little bit, took me to Al's Diamond Cabaret, where I got to meet Savannah. And I'll never forget seeing the other girls that came out and danced, and then they had the star. And the star that day was Savannah. You know, he was all excited about it. And he was telling me that you can go to this place and you have the opportunity to meet them. You can drink. You're 21 now, so you can drink in a public place. It was bring your own beer kind of thing. So we took our, case or six-pack or whatever it is that we took, and we got drunk, and we were watching, these girls dance. And the whole time, I got to be honest with you, this is the first time I ever went into a strip club. That's what they call it, But I never looked at it as a perverse thing. I'm really looking at it as art. And, remember, I want to be a cheerleader. Now, one of the things is that I want to be is an exotic entertainer. I want to be a stripper, a dancer, And so I'm watching this girl's film. This is the first time in my whole life that I remember outside of John Cougar, who was so far away from me. This girl dancing on the stage is just like, she's right there. I just pretty much go up and touch her almost, if I wanted to, I guess. They don't want that to happen. Please don't do that. They don't want you to touch them. But I'm saying if I really, really wanted to, I could have. Don't do it. Don't do it, please. Don't interrupt their performance. Because I'm going to tell you something. Here's the thing. To brush all this up, I actually got to have my picture taken with her. It cost $20. Okay, $20. My friend paid it for my birthday. We went over. I was so scared. I was like, what do you even say to them? How do you tell them that you like their films, How do you tell them that you want to be more like them? I didn't even know. I didn't know at that time I was transgendered. I just knew I wanted to look like her. So, anyway, I get to sit down, and she has nothing but, guess what? Her thigh-high boots. Black. Yes. Latex. Oh, it was beautiful. She was beautiful. Dark skin, And I remember I wasn't so interested in her breast. I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't interested in her breast because I always liked girls with smaller breast, okay? I always liked girls with smaller breast. And I never really liked the implant kind of thing. I don't have implants. I wear padded bras, under bras, okay? Something new for you to learn about me. But check this out. So she sits on my lap. You gotta be very careful. There's a bouncer or someone around her, security around her to make sure that you don't try to rush up to the stage to touch her. Don't do this to them. It'll ruin their performance, okay? Seriously, don't do it. They don't want to be disturbed like that. Okay, I wouldn't want disturbed like that. I'd want to at least finish my performance before you came and gave me a hug. So anyway, I got to sit down there, and she sat on my lap. And I can't remember exactly what I said to her, but I told her, I said, you know what, and within that conversation, I said that I admire her and that she's beautiful. And I remember her looking at me And the look in her eyes, I can't really explain it. It was kind of a confused look. Okay? For whatever reason. For whatever reason. I don't even know if confused look is the way. All I know is I saw her talking to other people. Things were passing by, and it was whatever I said to her, and then when I told her. I think in a way she knew, or she wanted to believe, that it's a... Can I just say that whatever was coming from my heart was genuine? I really admired her, and I cared about her work. You know, I don't know if with these girls, people actually feel the same way about it. Maybe they do, maybe they do, maybe they do. But to me, it was not in any way, any kind of perverse. It was, I really admired her beauty. And I might have put my foot in my mouth again with that one. Sometimes I don't know how to talk. But I'll never forget about that encounter with her. And I thought to myself, I wish I had the opportunity to get to know her. But I'm sure, you know, don't you feel that many celebrities like that, like a lot of people just want to get to know them for the wrong reasons a lot of times. You know, they always want something from them, you know. I remember from that day on, I held that picture and I looked at it. And I posted it online. Some of you may have seen it. I posted it online on my Facebook a while back. I might have took it down because I really did not like the way I looked. That time I had my hair cut. It was heavy. And this girl was sitting on my lap. I want to look like her, and I look like I do. That was a hard time in my life. And for years, I kept telling myself, and I still have the image in my head. And she signed it. I remember she talked to me a little bit after she signed it. And I'll never forget how soft her skin was. I'll never forget how beautiful she smelled. How gentle she was. I don't know in her private life if she was gentle, but in her, after her performance, the meeting with me, she was very gentle to me. She had a beautiful smile. It's very unfortunate she's not with us anymore, because I would like the opportunity to share with her how much she meant to me. You know, and she is one of the inspirations, in all honesty. She is one of the inspirations why Tracilyn wanted to have blonde hair, be tall and skinny, and have my thigh-high boots on. Absolutely. I wanted to be Savannah. Did you ever want to be somebody? Whoever. Bugs Bunny, Donald Duck, you know, Scooby-Doo, Dora, Blue's Clues, Captain Kangaroo. I don't know. You know, for me it was Savannah. At that time, things are changing over. I said about Daisy Duke and stuff, but now I'm starting to get a little older. I'm starting to have a strong attraction to men. And let's just face it, you know. It seemed like a glamorous life, but I'm sure that there was a lot of heartaches that I would have never been able to endure. And you'll hear about my adult entertainment fiasco sometime soon. And a lot of that journey was inspired by the girls I was watching at that time. In the 80s adult films, let me tell you something. Anybody out there who knows, it's a whole other world. There's a lot of outdoor scenes, a lot of role-playing, reenactments of the Three's Company kind of thing going on. Good stuff. Entertaining, and inspirational for people like me. Oh, goodness. So as I was saying, I got to meet this girl who was hanging out with my sister next door, trailer to trailer. Can I just say, straight up, my child's mom looked like Savannah. Okay, just straight up. Don't need to know who she is. Those who know me closest know who she is. In my eyes, I'm not saying identical. In my eyes, without the breast augmentation, if you will, let's just say that she was everything to me. She reminded me of Savannah, and that was the wrong reason to base it. In fact, the very first day that I walked into the trailer, sat down, at that time, we were all kind of enjoying, celebrating. Everybody was celebrating, having a good time, drinking and stuff. And I sat down to meet her because my sister called and invited me over. And can I just say that the first words out of my mouth is, did anybody ever tell you you look like Savannah? And, you know, things started to happen. And I got to say, they were based probably off the wrong reasons, right off the get-go. You know, my sister painted a picture that I drove truck, that I had money. You know, a lot of people for our class Remember I told you I grew up kind of in a low income area of life, and my whole goal was as I got older I wanted to make money and have money. I never wanted to be living poorly, you know. That was important to me. To be able to do some of the things in life that I would like to do, which I found out in the end, you'll hear my story, wasn't all that it was cracked up to be anyway. So my sister invites me over, I get to meet her, the first words out of my mouth is, "Hey baby, did anybody ever tell you look like Savannah?" Later on that night, after we were done partying and stuff, we had our encounter together. That quick, you know? Very free-spirited we were. And I remember just thinking that the whole time I was with her. And even to this day, I really feel strongly that that's who she looked like. You know, a little bit different, but, you know, I don't want to keep riding that too much. But now you know. One of the reasons why I was attracted to my child's mother. We went through a lot. It was a very unhealthy relationship. There was a lot of drinking, a lot of smoking. You know, I'm going to be honest and say we smoked marijuana. We did all kinds of things. For me, it was a lot of escape. I don't know all of her reasons. I know that she, you know, like most girls, we all have our different lifestyles of growing up, challenges that we have to go through and endure. And can I just say that I connected with her in one level, but in another level, and I would say mainly intimacy because of that. I would say mainly the reason why I was attracted to her is selfishly because she reminded me of Savannah. And I'm sorry. Really sorry, but it didn't stop me from getting to know who she was and loving her. Okay? I still care very deeply. She, as far as I know, and I know that sounds really bad, but as far as I know, she is my child's mother. I want the best life for her. And the best life for her wasn't with me. In all honesty, it wasn't. And obviously, you will find that out. It wasn't for her. Okay, I'm not proud of everything that I've been through, but yet, in a sense, I am, because it's who I am now today. And everything happens for a reason, and I'm starting to realize that, wake up to that realization. So, got a lot to share with this about my child's mother and my relationship. But what I want to say is I was with her off the basis of watching somebody on an adult film. I wanted to be more like this person that I later on got to meet. And now that my child's mother looks exactly like her, I'm enjoying our encounters together. The same thing as with all the other girls. I'm encouraging very strongly that she dressed like these girls that I wanted to dress. Honestly, I wanted to wear the lingerie and the boots and all this other stuff, right? And the makeup and do my hair and go out dancing and have a good time. Well, all the things that I wanted to do myself, I was too scared. I was too scared. I'm not scared now. I was scared then. Okay? And the bottom line is, that alone made the relationship unhealthy. I'm sorry for that. Okay? So now we're trying to make our relationship work. At some point, we find out that she is pregnant. Okay? With the one that I'm going to take a step and say, I believe that he is mine. This is a very long, very sensitive subject to talk about, a story to talk about. But can I just tell you right now, through that relationship with them, I was never more confused in all my life because I didn't really want to be with her. I kind of wanted to have them in my life because at that point, because of everything I've been through, I didn't want to be in a separated family. I didn't want to lose. I wanted to make sure that any child I had was in a healthy environment. What I wanted it to be a healthy environment was the two of us, the three of us. I wanted to have a family environment for them. I wanted to be the provider. And let's face it, my sister painted up that I had money. I'm driving truck. So a lot of it, looking back and during that time, I'll be honest, how I felt during that time is that she wanted to be with me because it was perceived that I had money and I was out on the road. You know, sometimes the truck drivers will get this. And this will be offensive to a lot of the other girls maybe. But can I tell you, truck drivers understand, or anybody who makes a decent living, you know, will understand that a lot of times other people are wrong or with you just because you have a little bit of money. Really, a pinch. That's all I had, just a pinch. And obviously I don't have any now. So the whole thing is I couldn't get away with thinking that, even if it wasn't true. I'm thinking, I don't want to be in this relationship. I knew in my head I wanted to start exploring my sexuality. I wanted to be with men. I wanted to change my appearance. I hated my appearance. I wanted to do music. I wanted to travel the world. See, all this stuff is still in my head. All of a sudden now, a child comes into the picture. And can I tell you, I wanted more than anything to be in that child's life every single day. But I'm going to be honest, I didn't want to be in hers. That may sound painful, but I'm being honest. I didn't want to be in her life. I wanted to be with a man. I wanted to change my appearance and stuff, you know. With that being said, that was the start of my music career, and we're going to talk more about that at another time. But there was a constant overwhelming, listen, in this relationship, there was a constant overwhelming of making me feel guilty because I wanted these other things in my life. I wanted my son in my life. I wanted her in my life, my friendship. I really wanted to separate and keep our friendship, but also keep our family whole. It didn't work out that way, okay? I want to touch base with that a little bit later on. But can I just tell, because this here I should really take the day to kind of share, but can I just say there was other things that I want to do with my life. I didn't want to just be strapped down to a physical home life and do what everybody, I knew at that time, what everybody else is doing is not what Tracilyn wants to do. I'm a traveler. I want to go traveling. You know, I want to be heavily into my music and my art, and I want to rock and roll for my son as well. I want my son in my life. I just didn't know how to put all the pieces together. How do I make this work? Never really had it up here. I didn't have it up there. I wasn't ready at that time for all of the extra. Just like much with the dog, because the dog is still in my life. Living with my mother. I've never been unhappier in my whole life. Thank you, Nirvana. Was that part of it? No, I can't blame Nirvana. Nirvana brought down the walls for me, you know. It sunk into my soul. And can I tell you, I'm just being honest. From my perception. I'm sure everybody else's story is different. It's sensitive. It sets people on fire. They get explosive. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's name or anything like that. I'm not mentioning any names. But, you know, I'd like to deal with that more, a little bit more. I talked to psychiatrists, psychologists about that. My feelings about the situation really are kind of irrelevant to a level. I want to be consistent with the facts. These are the facts. This is the honest facts of what happened. And can I tell you that from the time that child was born, my child was born, until he was 8 months old, okay, his mother and my relationship got more stressful. There was more resentment because I started getting involved in the music industry. I snapped at that point. I got involved into wanting to do live shows. And can I tell you something? She couldn't handle it. She wasn't ready for that. It's a hard position for somebody to be in. And her exact words were, I met you as a truck driver, and now you have a son, and your son should mean more to you than anything. Basically, you should be out there on the road making your son money and building a life. That was her feelings on that. And my feeling on it was, at some point I have to start living a life of fulfillment and balance. And just because I was a musician and starting to follow my dreams for the first time in my life, and you'll get to hear about that, okay? Give me a chance, there's a lot to share. Can I just say to you that I felt at that time she was being extremely selfish, because you will find out if I share with you that some of the reason why I wanted to do what I did was so that I had a home life. I had a home life to share with my child. She worked every day from whatever hour in the morning until the evening, okay? On the weekends, all I had to do was work on a Friday and Saturday. And I was making a comfortable paycheck. Okay, can I just say that? A comfortable paycheck just working on a Friday and Saturday. And then I had Sunday through Friday, and all day Friday and Saturday, because I just played venues close to home at that time. At that time, I was thinking I want to be home as much as possible. I go do a 3 or 4 hour show, That's 8-10 hours a day with travel time involved, right? 10 hours a week? Or do I want to be out on the road in my truck, right? From Sunday night till Saturday morning, sometimes all week. Think I want to do that? I'm a musician and I know it in my heart. That's what I wanted to do my whole life. I have a son now. I have a family. Okay? I want to be home with them. I was trying and struggling to do what was best for everyone. I really was. Whether my actions were right, wrong, or indifferent, it doesn't matter. I was trying to do what was right for us. For us. Not me, for us. But it wasn't perceived as that. I was perceived as a bad person because I wanted to follow my dreams and follow my heart. And you'll see that continued to happen for me for years. In fact, it was throughout my whole life. Even up until I just started sharing my story with you here in Pennsylvania. This happened to me in Ohio. This continues to happen. And it will always happen. It'll always happen because people are uninformed, they're uneducated, they are oppressed, they are beaten and told who they should be, and they have a society standard of how everyone at large should be living. Okay? They're not taught how to search within themselves and be honest with themselves and live in accordance with their own heart, which would be healthier for everybody. You'd have healthier relationships, the right relationships. The right family life for you. Doesn't mean that there won't be trials. Doesn't mean that there'll be hard times or it's all going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of challenges. Relationships take a lot of work. And I can talk to you all alone about just this for the whole day. I was devastated. Devastated. I wanted that son in my life. I was raised with a separate family. How dare anybody tell me, Tracilyn, that having more home time so I could share time. Remember, I told you, working 10 hours a week was putting a paycheck almost as great as me being a truck driver working all week long. And I'm doing what I love to do. Oh, confusion has set in. And let me tell you something. I wasn't going to let somebody tell me that I can't have more quality time home with the son I always wanted, or a child that I always wanted, really. I told you I wanted a girl, but this time it was my son. Okay? And I love her. We had so many disagreements over this. So much, and you'll find out, in my music career, there was a point that she actually came in and she tried to slam my name. She tried to show and out me as a transsexual by showing people that were going to the shows pictures of me in lingerie. It was quite embarrassing. So much that she showed up at a show when I was playing in Mannheim, in Mannheim, Pennsylvania, and she took a pencil or a pen, and literally while I was playing in the middle of everybody, playing up on the stage, she threw it, and it nailed me right in the forehead. Embarrassing moments for me. Okay? Why would you go around and show pictures of your child's father, parent, to humiliate them? Why would you do that? If this is your child's other parent, why would you want to humiliate them in front of the whole city? To this day, I don't get that. I don't want to. I had a hard life. I don't want to humiliate her in front of anybody. Understand that. This is not created to humiliate her or anybody else. If anything, it's humiliating myself. I'm coming out with the dirt. You know? He's gonna be 13 this year. He was born December. Okay? I want to see you. I want to be in your life. I want to share with you the details of my life. This is a good start. If you got a hold of it, I hope so. And I'm not out to try to beat anybody else up. I can only imagine the things that he's been told his whole life. I want an opportunity to clear things up, make things right. And I'd like to start off by finding out whether or not he's of my blood. Okay, so if you're out there, please don't be hurt. Please don't be hurt. You have another parent. I hope that parent is me. I love you. A lot. Even if you're not of my blood. I want to know. And I want to take the opportunity to get to know you. Share life with you. Got a lot of catching up to do. Right now, a lot of people may be upset because they're listening to this. All right? I'd like to say I'm sorry. Okay? I'm thinking of what the pain was here. I'm thinking of my son's pain. Okay? I studied psychology, all the things that I've been through in life, and I'm telling you right now, people going around and slamming people, we're all trying to figure out our ways through life. And let me tell you, I'm telling you right now, I was doing what I thought was best for the entire family. Doesn't it make sense to you? I could be making almost as much money and have a lot more home time. I don't want my son going to a babysitter. Oh, I could talk about this stuff. I could tell you, we had problems when he went to a nanny. With a babysitter, I mean, I'm sorry. Okay? We had problems when he went to a child care. All right? I wanted to share time with it, if you're watching, with you. Okay? There was disagreements. And this is a very sensitive subject with me. It has been for a long time. I've been walking around holding my head down about it. And people ask, well, why don't you do something about it, Tracilyn? Let me tell you something. In the end of our relationship, my son was about 8 months old. He was probably in like a car seat or something on my bed at my place I was staying, because she was kind of staying with her parents' house. She used to be kind of a hothead, okay? It was hard for both of us to control our temper. So she'd be a hothead, I would be a hothead, we'd be a hothead. And remember, I told you with what my mother went through. Although I was struggling with all of this, can I just say that I was raised, a guy never raises a hand at a girl. A guy never raises a hand at a girl. A guy never raises a hand at a girl. Okay? But now the stress is there. Everything that I'm going through in my life, I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with, I want to follow my musical dream. There's so much stuff in life I want to do. And now my son comes along. I want to share as much time and quality with him. All of a sudden, nothing else really matters. And you'll find out, if I had time to share with you, you'll find out that the whole reason that really pushed me into going into playing the barroom scene and doing the live entertainment, a lot of that was so I could share time with my son. I loved the weeks while we were together. Okay, I loved the week time that we were together. Unfortunately, I kept wanting our relationship to work out because we had a son together. It did not, and it excavated one night. She got physical with me in front of my son. And let me tell you something. For somebody who has abused their whole life, you don't do that. You don't do that to anybody anyway. Period. Let me tell you something. You don't ever raise a hand to anybody in front of children. Okay? You don't ever raise a hand, if you're a guy, to a girl. Deal with it. I don't know how to deal with it, really. You know? We all have our experiences. But in front of children, let me tell you something. You don't raise your hand to anybody. Because all they're doing is getting that embedded into their mind for the rest of their life. For the rest of their life, they're going to have that image. Children imitate what they see around them. We imitate, whether we want to or not, we imitate things around us. Okay? So this image could possibly be in his head. And let me tell you something. When that happened, I looked over at him, and I got to be honest, the rage came over me, consumed me. And instantly, I'm going to say, she was down on the ground, in the living room, in a bedroom, in the hallway. Okay? And I hurdled her. I didn't hit her. Okay? Didn't beat her, nothing like that. But let's just face it, she attacked me. And down she went. Down she went because everything that happened in my life spiraled when I looked at my son. And I said, no. No, I will not. Let me tell you something. Guys abused me my whole life. People abused me. You would be surprised at the mistreatment I went. Now all I'm trying to do is try to keep our family happy. I'm doing the best I can. I'm not perfect. And let me tell you something right now. When I looked over at my son and he's staring at me, I'm not going to show him that you take a beating. So what I did is down she went. Never hit her. I was gentle with her. I got her down really quick. And when I was on top of her, I raised my hand up. Okay? I was about to give to her how she made me feel, how all these people made me feel. It was wrong. Can I tell you something? I looked back at my son, and I remembered my mother. I reflected back on all this stuff, and I looked at her and I said, "You are lucky." And I got up, and the bottom line was, how could you do this in front of our son? How could you? I was upset about this. And I'm not trying to beat her up and make her feel bad. We were both hotheads. We were both stressed out. We're both angry. This is an unhealthy relationship. Can we just agree with that? It was just an unhealthy relationship. And now there's a son involved, and we're both doing the best we can. But I would think if any parent loves their child greatly, that what you're going to do is you're going to try to find a balance and make things work out between the two of you. And can I say that for months after that, we tried to. But the one thing that she kept holding against me was the fact that I got involved in the music industry, local scene. That really bothered her. It bothered her a lot. Too much. Too much. Okay? And that was a lot of pressure on me because finally, my whole life I'm getting bullied around. And finally in my life, I'm doing what I want to do. But I'm not trying to harm the family. I'm trying to make more time to share with my family. I'm trying to do what's best for my family. Okay? I'm not perfect. I mess up. Oops. Oops. We mess up. And I look at myself a lot here. All right? I love her. I still love you. If you see this, and I know you will, I still love you. I still care. We have a child together. I've reached out many times and I said, what it is, can I just calm down a little bit? What it is she had an idea of who the other child's parent should be. She had an idea in her head of how that child should be raised and how the other parent should be. Big mistake. For anybody, for you. If you're thinking that right now, well, yeah, that's right. You know what, Tracilyn, guess what? I have a husband, I have a wife, I have a girlfriend, a boyfriend, and we have a kid together. And let me tell you something, they're not living up to my expectations. Good, 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 because they shouldn't be living up to your expectations, all right? Everybody has a different idea of how people should live. Nobody's perfect, all right? Let people live their life. Let them be true to who they are. If they're not hurting you, and they're not hurting the child is most important. And if they're seriously trying to be the best that they can be, get off their back. Can you get off their back? Can you get off their back? All right, life is not easy for any of us. Life is not easy for any of us. The biggest mistake that I have evaluated and reevaluated over everybody that I came cross paths with in life, the people bulldogging me around, going to churches, religious leaders in general, or working at a place of employment, is their expectations of how everybody should be. You live this way because I was taught this is the way you live. No. 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 We don't live the way somebody else thinks that we should live. We gotta be honest with ourselves and get into our heart. I love my son. If that's my son, I want him in my life. What kind of parent is not going to let the other parent be in that child's life? Let me tell you something. If he was in my custody, unless that parent was proven to be abusive in any way, I most certainly would show my love for that child by wanting that child to have a relationship with its other parent, whether it's long distance or not. Whether the one parent lives in Australia or China or Japan, wherever that parent lives, I still want that child. And let me tell you something, if you're out there and you get a hold of this video, I love you and I want a relationship with you. And I sound a little frustrated right now because you know what? I oppressed myself for so long. All right, so long. I'm dealing with a lot here in life. as we all are. And I know you are too. And I know you have questions as to whether or not, do I love you? Do I care? Yes. Yes, I do. And you're probably thinking, well, why don't you show me? Why don't you show me you care? Let me tell you something. I'm human, and I did the best I could. And this is a whole nother subject. This is a whole nother subject. I love you. And I do love your other parent. We're human. We were young. People make mistakes. I was really doing the best I could. But let me tell you something. This haunted me up until I came back here. Okay? Just about. I finally began to heal. A lot of people don't understand how I could just let go and say it's time for me to move on. But I've seen professionals. I talked to them about the situation. Words were said. And things happened. I did the best that we could. At some point, I remember talking to my son while he was in the car. I knew it was the last time that I was going to see him. He was probably about 8 months old, if I'm not mistaken. We just couldn't work things out, no matter what we did, no matter what we tried. There was so much hostility there and anger. And let me just say, I don't want to keep fighting with somebody over and over again. I mean, really, get over it. I don't want to fight. I even would say that. I don't want to fight. Stop fighting all the time. I don't want to fight. I'm not a fighter. And the way I talk right now, I'm not really mad. I'm just saying, I'm worked up a little bit. So here's the thing. Check this out. Lawyers cost money. Money's tight for me my whole life. So what is about money? You have money. Let me tell you something. You can do just about anything in this world. Don't ever let anybody tell you differently. You got the money. Money buys favoritism. Money buys a lot of things, everything. This world is centered on money, okay? Something I never really had a lot of, okay? Especially during this time, especially now. Especially now. We'll get talking about that at another time, okay? Here's the thing, check this out. I was so stressed out. Literally, it brought me down to my knees. I started increasing my drinking. I started smoking a lot, tremendously. My life is falling apart. I really, really want my son in my life. And here's his parent. I don't want to fight with her over everything. I don't want to fight. We just were not a good guy. And I'm not saying she was the fault. Understand this. I'm not blaming her for anything. We were fighting. And that last time when I raised up my hand, I never smacked her. Never did that. I looked at my son and I realized things could get really dangerous very quick for everybody. Okay, can I say that? I knew that it was time to separate. It was what was healthiest. Because let me tell you something, after everything I've been through in my life, I don't want to be fighting with people, even to this day. If you're going to fight, scream, bicker, complain, create drama, gossip about everybody else, I'm going to walk away from you. That's negative energy to me. I don't need it in my life. Get away from me. How about I just get away from you? That's the way I am. If you're gossiping about people, all right, get over it. Get over it. You have a problem with yourself if you're gossiping about others. All right? You got that bitter resentment. Start dealing with your own life. Then you won't have time to worry about what other people are doing, okay? I've learned that. And I love you. I'm saying it because I love you. So with that being said, I knew it was time to separate. Got a lawyer. I started talking to her. At that time, a good friend of mine, there was a couple other guys. Actually, that was very common in that city. Listen, at that time, I knew a lot of people that were going through this. Okay, I was not going through it alone. And we used to drink and talk about all this stuff, about how we could deal with this. And the truth of the matter is, the law system is pretty much set up that unless proven really that the mother of the child is bad, I mean really bad, serious drugs, alcohol abuse, mental, physical abuse, you have to really go to extremes to prove this, right? For whatever reason, they really show favoritism towards the female gender, unfortunately, because it's not always the best thing for the children. And I'm not saying in this situation what was bad or what was not, okay? Just understand that. But I'm just saying I know other stories, and I'm not here to talk about that. But the bottom line is, my lawyer said the best thing to do was that we go there, we get what's fair. because I told her I want to be fair. I'm not looking to get out of this. I want to be fair. I care about him. I want him in my life. And the two things are separate. You go in for the financial aid. That's what they care about the most. Make sure the child has food and its resources are financial. And you also go and a custody battle. Well, can I assure you that I barely had enough money at that time to go through the courts, because when they started taking financial from me, it was a large amount, unrealistic, because that meant I can't take care of myself. I can't provide a roof over my head. I'm going to have to go and live with other people, which I guess, the kid comes first. Listen, my son came first. I understand that. But in a lot of situations, what ends up happening is this is a very touchy subject, but the bottom line is sometimes too much is too much. And we got to be realistic the whole way around. I wanted to be in this child's life. He didn't need a babysitter. He didn't need to go to child care. He needed to be with his parents, both of them, whether they're divided amongst each other or not. We needed to learn how to get along. We both needed a psychiatrist together to work it out. That may sound weird to a lot of people. That's what we needed. We needed to calm down and listen to somebody who was impartial. Is that right? Impartial. And could help us to work it out maturely. Because we needed to do what was best for that child. And what was best for that child is that he has both of his parents in his lives. Because none of us were physically abusing him. None of us were mentally abusing him. The problem is we couldn't get along with each other. It was an unhealthy match. Listen, I love men. I want to be with a man. I was with her for the wrong reasons. She looked like Savannah. I wanted to be like Savannah. This was the closest thing to that. Okay, weird story, isn't it? But here's the thing. There were things that I was aware of that she was doing that was providing an environment similar to that of my childhood, and I didn't want him exposed to. I didn't want my child being exposed and having the same lifestyle that I did. So that's why this was very important to me. And it really hurt me because the music was really, I had to, and looking back now, music is me. You will find out, you gotta give me a chance here. Give me a chance. Because you will find out that music out of my life, my guitar, me singing, my songs and stuff, entertaining people, that is like a fish out of water. You don't live very long. That's the biggest reason why I was dying. It wasn't just because I was transgendered. That's a big deal, but not as important as music was. Give me a chance. Give me a chance to explain with that. Give me a chance to explain. After talking to my lawyer and all this stuff, we worked out the financial ends. I'm talking to all my friends now at this time about this. They're going with their own struggles. And the bottom line is I knew people that were investing money, lots of money, battling, going to court. Their lives are deteriorating. You'd see their health deteriorating because this is so stressful. They want to work things out, but it is a hard thing. I mean, this is the effect that's parents splitting. This is the kind of effect it has on us, on everybody. And it's not just the child, it's not just the mother, it's not just the dad, it's not just the parents, it's not just the grandparents and the uncles. But let's just face it. I was acknowledging that around me, it seemed like the dads were all getting a bad rap. The dads were getting a bad rap. And I gotta be honest, I knew a lot of these guys. They weren't so bad. And I used to think to myself, I wish you were my dad when I was a kid growing up. You know? The bottom line is when things get heated and disgusted, and I know this may upset a lot of women out there. I love you girls. I love you girls. But also remember, if you love that child needs the other parent in its life. It needs both parents. What the answer is, I don't know. But it's not just the child doesn't just need money. The child needs the other parent in its life. A healthy relationship. So it's, I remember seeing a famous preacher lady talk on my television set. She says, grow up time. Can I just say that I realized it was grow up time for the both of us, and I didn't know how to grow up. I didn't know how to grow up, but I still want him in my life. I want to grow up. I want us to have some kind of relationship together. Healthy. I don't know what the answer is. We have to learn boundaries and stuff and decide what's best. Because to be honest with you, I'm not going to stay in Pennsylvania. I'm planning on leaving. I'm leaving Pennsylvania. I'll talk more about that later. But my dream is still to do music. My music, though. I don't want to, and you'll find that out. I don't want to do other people's music anymore. No. I don't want to do it for entertainment purposes either. Nope. I love to entertain. But there was life-changing occurrences that happened to me. And I'm going to be sharing that with you in my religious walk. It feels good to get this out of my system. I know it's going to be very sensitive, very touchy. It's going to set people's soul on fire about it. And I'm going to ask for your forgiveness, mercy, and grace. I'm acting like a human being, okay, that loves and wants a relationship with their child. I'm not saying it has to. Just because the world has an idea of how parents should be living their life, just because a mother or a dad has an idea of how the mother or dad should be living their life or their child, that's a big mistake. Big mistake. Stop expecting that other people meet your standards of life, because nobody is in agreement with that. We all want to be ourselves. And we mess up because we can't find ourselves until sometimes later in life. And then we realize that it was never healthy to begin with. But it doesn't mean that we can't still be friends and still connect with each other. Maybe there's a lot of children from around the world that get to have their parents now on the internet with Skype, Facebook or whatever. I'm more of a loner. I share a lot of time alone with myself. I don't really get along living with anybody. Okay? Better off by myself. I wish I could get along with somebody in this world. But we got more to talk about with that. Maybe you feel the same way. So know this, a lot of parents are going through it, and I'm going to share my story with you so you know. And the bottom line is, I told my lawyer, I can't afford it. I can't afford to keep going to court. I'm stressed out. Now I'm developing acid reflux. My health is deteriorating. Everybody knows me. I'm miserable. I'm drunk all the time because this has really hurt me. And I remember there were times in my kitchen where I was down on my knees pleading with her. I don't want to fight. Till this day, I tell people, I don't want to fight. Can we get along? Can we get along? I don't want to fight. Well, usually it doesn't work out that way. Usually there's a lot of sensitivity amongst humans, and humans just instantly get very self-defensive over everything and they fight. And you know what? Finally, at one point, I remember taking him home to his mother at a trailer park. And I got out of that car, or when she got out of the car and we were alone, however the deal was, if it was in my car or her car, if I was dropping him off or whatever, but I do remember him in the car seat. And I remember the hardest thing that I ever had to do was talk to him privately and tell him that I didn't know what else to do. Mommy and Daddy are not getting along at all. And it's hurting me. It's hurting your daddy is what I said. It's hurting really bad, and I don't think it's healthy for you. Things are going to excavate if we don't separate. There's too much sensitivity there. I'm going to come back in your life. I'm going to come back in your life when you least expect it. And I hope that you give me the opportunity to share my side. Share with you my whole life. And not beat up your mother, meaning with words, not physical. I don't want to beat up your mother with words. She's beautiful. She's a beautiful girl. We're children learning how to be adults in a world that's very demanding. That we have a standard, a certain standard, and if we don't fit within the box of that standard, then we'll be destroyed. That was a hard time in my life. Because I knew it was permanent. I was walking away for that time. I didn't know how long. I still don't know how long. It might be when you're 18. Maybe when you're 19 or 20, you're going to show up when I least expect it. And you're going to tackle me. Not to kiss me. You're going to want answers. I want to give you those answers impartial, without judgment of exactly what was going on, by just sharing I just want to share with my perspective of what was going on. I was there. It feels like only yesterday. Being realistic. If your mother really loved you, And if I was really your parent, then I would be in your life because I want to be in your life. It may sound confusing. I hope it sets in over the next few years, because when you're 18, nobody can stop you from sharing time with me. After that season was gone, let me just tell you, the world around me beat me. Beat me pretty bad, and that killed me. It killed me inside. There wasn't a day that I stepped on a stage that I wasn't torn apart, because I knew the strongest thing in the world that she disliked was the fact that I stopped driving truck, and her ideas, because I'm gone, I'm out on the road all the time making money in the truck away from home. Because in this area, at least, whenever a woman had a man who drove truck, and he was gone on the road all the time making money for the family, that was a great life to have, because, hey, even my mother. Let us drink, let us smoke, let us celebrate, let us have a good time. And I'm going to be honest, that's the way it was for my mother. And that's the way it was for, I know a lot of truck drivers. That's the way it was for a lot of them. No. I don't want to live just being a bank for somebody. I don't want to just live doing what everybody... I wanted to drive truck for a season because my dad drove truck, because Chris Christopherson drove truck. I don't want to drive truck because somebody just wants my money. Okay? And if I have a child, I want to be in that child's life every day, all day long. I want to play with you. Whoever my child is, I want to play. All children, I love children. Okay? Especially of my blood. I want my child in my life. I want my child in my life. I want my child in my life. But I don't want to be in anybody's life under an expectation of who I should be. Travel. I want to do my music. It takes a lot of time and energy. Gotta work a lot. I work all the time. Everybody has a different life. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that your other parent is a rock and roller in heart. Okay? But it doesn't mean I can't be a great parent. Doesn't mean I can't be a fun parent. Okay? I hope I get a chance with you. And as far as his mother, I know that you're going to be very upset if you see this. And I'm sorry. I don't want to upset you. I don't want to keep apologizing. But I know it's a very sensitive subject. I did the best that I could. I mean, let's face it. Outing me like that, embarrassing me, shaming, fighting with me, arguing with me, putting a standard and expectations of how I should live. I didn't want my child raised around alcohol and cigarette smoke and drugs. Okay? You know what I'm getting at, if you're watching this. I want to provide a safe, clean, enjoyable, and fun living environment. Things don't work out. I'm not beating anybody up. I am so sorry that our relationship had to deteriorate so much that we couldn't be mature enough to come up with an agreement. You know? Instead, we have this standard of how our parents should be living their life, and if they're not living to our standard, oh, she's a transsexual. Oh, she's an adult entertainer. Oh, she's a musician. She's playing in bar rooms. Okay? Let's be careful of who we shame and blame on things. Okay? Nobody's perfect. We need to remove the standards and expectations and say, you know what? Things happened. Out came a wonderful joy, a gift to the world. And now we need to learn how to make this work somehow. Maybe he doesn't want to be in my life. I hope you do. I really hope you do. I want to be in your life, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to be honest. After everything I've been through, I got strong. And I realized that I'm not meant to be attached to everything throughout this life journey. And I'd like to share more about that relationship with my son and my perspective, because I've had been separated by many things many times. And can I say it gets a little bit easier, but you kind of get tired of losing things in your life throughout your journey. Right now, I wish I had a man in my life, you know, for the rest of our days here on earth. I wish I had somebody to share my time with. More so now than ever. Somebody who loved me being me, and I could run up this grass hill and tackle him, where he could gently lay me down, and I'd let him kiss me. I want to talk about that another day again. Mark my words, through these YouTube videos, I'm going to talk whether my son gets to see it or he doesn't. Someday he might. I want to share a very important message. Because I know right now you're 13, you're going through a lot of curiosities. You know, I was just doing my life journey. I know where I was when I was 13. I hope people accept you warmly. You have friends. I hope you and your mother are both well-to-do. You're taken care of, both of you. It means a lot to me. So with that being said, I didn't have the money to keep on fighting and fighting and fighting. I'm having a hard time just staying alive myself, you know? And dealing with me being a transgendered, I didn't know what was going on there yet. Now I'm dealing with my sexuality. And wait till you hear about my music life. You'll find out I was really dealing with that as well. My whole life. So the bottom line is, through the conversations I had with my lawyers, with my friends who are going through a lot of the same stuff, can I just tell you this? I realize this is just going to be an ongoing war. It seemed to me like this was the kind of personality type that I was dealing with. We're just going to keep fighting. And it doesn't matter if I paid $1 million to a lawyer and he said, you know what, you have half custody of your son, and that's the way it's going to be. Because I'll tell you what, I know a lot of people back in the day that were going through the same thing, and no matter how much money they spent, no matter how many court battles they went to, the bottom line is they were getting games played with them all the time. So they kept fighting and fighting. And let me tell you something. I get tired of fighting. I grew up being beat up. And I had to fight a lot. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to fight. And some people will say, well, you ran away this time too, Tracilyn. You ran away from all those fights. Now you're running away from this. Maybe. I didn't run away. Maybe I'm just gracefully lingering around. Because I know the truth, once it's presented, makes all the difference. It makes all the difference. One of the things that she said to me when she was on the phone one day, she used to I met a lot of people in my life that used to try to consume me with guilt, manipulating my mind to make me feel guilty for everything that I was doing. And in this situation, all you care about is playing guitar. All you care about is your dog. All you care about is yourself. That's not true. I already gave the good reasons why I wanted to do this music thing. And you'll find out even deeper, I needed to do it. Okay? I never once said I don't want to be with my son. I never once said I didn't want to be with my son's mother. I said it was challenging. Okay? So with this being said, I remember she told me, I can't believe that you want to do the music after everything that you've been through. That you don't want basically what the idea of life through her parents, through her family, her friends. The idea of life in this area at that time was You get a 9-to-5 job, or you work in the morning and you get done in the evening, or you work night shift. You work in a factory. You work retail or detailing, cars. You deliver pizzas, or you work at a franchise. No, I'm a musician. I've been a musician my whole life. I come from a family of musicians. Guess what? No. All right. I had to stand up. I didn't run. I stood up. I stood up for what I believed in. And I was willing to take all the consequences that came along with that, which was, the biggest one, was this situation. It bugged her so much, and I'm going to leave it at that. She told me, she said, you know what? You sicken me because you're going to miss out on the best years of your child's life. And that bugged me. Oh, that got into my soul, the trenches of my stomach. Yes. And can I tell you, she had me tricked there for a second. I struggled with it. Just because I didn't fully understand it at the time, let me tell you something. I get it now. I get it now. If anybody is brainwashing you, and you're my son, to believe this, or maybe you're not my son, you're somebody else's son, or however old you are, let me tell you something. People have a way with trying to manipulate your mind because they want to beat you down. It elevates them. They feel better. They're knocking you down. Well, if this is my son, why do you want to make me feel bad and beat me down? Don't you want me to have a relationship with him? Don't you want me to be in his life? Why are we making up walls and barriers to make this so hard just because of a job I have? Doesn't make sense to me. Okay? I love my son. I'm not going to worry necessarily about what my parent is doing as long as it's legal. Okay? As long as it's legal. We're not causing any legal troubles, not hurting my son. With that being said, when she said that, I struggled. And can I assure you, me who lost everything in my life several times, parents who walked away from me, you'll find out my dad even told me I'm going to burn in hell because I came out. I couldn't, what they call come out. I started living my life as a transsexual lady, and my dad couldn't handle it. He had standards and expectation of who his son should be. Wait till you get into that story. Yes, the world around us has expectations and standards of how we should be living our life. Unfortunately, it was my son's mother. She did that. And can I tell you that I needed people in my life to love me and be there for me more when I was in my 30s than I did when my childhood. Would you believe me if I told you that? Reflecting back on my life, I promise you this. Even if you don't feel that way, I did. Again, I was on my knees, I was on my face in my living room floor. I lost everything in my life. That music career might make your mother happy, might make this lady happy. I lost everything. Everything in my life. Everything in my life. Okay? Friends? What friends? Friends don't turn their back on you when you need them the most. I never had friends. I found that out. Okay? Family who loves you? Love is an action word. If I had family who loved me, they wouldn't have turned their back on me when I needed them the most. My dad tells me I'm going to burn in hell. What turnip truck did you fall off of? What surface did you hit your head on? He didn't understand. He had an expectation, standards. This is how my child should be living. And if they're not, then they're burning in hell. Because that's what he told me. You're going to burn in hell. You better hope I never see you, find you. Okay? This is the same one that didn't believe me about my stepbrother. Didn't believe me about my stepbrother incident. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Because I do have forgiveness. I really do have forgiveness. Let me tell you something. My son's watching. Anybody else out there? If I found out my son was struggling with anything at all, no matter what it was or is, I'm not going to turn my back on you. ever. I'm here. I care. I don't care the way the world cares. The illusion, the lies that they say. I care about you until. If you're not going to live up to my standard, I don't care about you at all. Get away from me. Let me tell you something. I learned a lot about that. I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. With whoever you are. Maybe you're thinking, this is getting a little too personal. I better turn this off. No, listen. I'm going to make this very clear. I love everybody. I have forgiveness for everybody. I'm a little excited right now because I think it's important that I get to artistically express myself. Listen, I'm not slamming anybody. I'm sharing the truth. I hurt, I suffered for a very long time over this. And because the world has an idea of how everybody in the whole country should be living their life, they think, well, gee, if your son isn't in your life and you did this and you do this and you do this, you're a bad parent, you're a bad person. No. No. You're bad then. Because you're expecting everybody to live up to your standard of what you've been taught by your elders, who have been taught by their ancestors, that this is the way you live. You can be in nature and realize that not everything in the world lives according to one standard. It took me years to figure that out. Okay? I was guilty of it too. Certain people ain't living up to your standards. I don't like being around cigarette smoke. I was born and raised around. Destroyed my voice. Okay, destroyed my voice. I became addicted to cigarette smoke my whole entire life. Here I am. I'm going to be 41 this year. Alcohol. Alcohol was down in my life before I was even in elementary school. I'm drinking half bottles of anisette. Huh. I'm not even in first grade. How did I get a hold of this alcohol? Did I go down to the liquor store? Did I go to the bartender? Set me up, beam me up, Scotty? No. It was introduced to me. Through my family. Through the world around me. Through adults. Just like everything else. We learn from everybody around us, our generation. The people on television, we think it's cool because they're smoking. We think it's cool because we're smoking. Okay? And it falls in, and it can really destroy all the wonderful opportunities that this world has to offer. If we just drop the barrier of that one standard, that what we've been told, can we just open up our minds a little bit and say, you know what, not everybody lives the same life. And just because this person, like there's a lot of people in the transgender community or in the LGBT community at large, that they're finally starting to come out and say, you know what, I'm tired of hiding this. I am gay. I am a lesbian, if that's what you want to call me. I'm a transsexual. I'm a cross-dresser. I'm a transvestite. Get over it if you don't like it. Get over it. Everybody lives differently. You can go travel around the world. You get through the internet right now. Through the internet. Travel around the world through the internet, and you will get to see that many cultures live very differently. What's right or wrong is an idea that it's right or wrong. You don't have to take my word for it. Think about it. Some of you may be on fire right now. Leave a comment. Insult me if you will. All right? I'm not here to battle anything out anymore. I'm not here to fight with people. I'm sharing my life story. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to get sensitive a little bit about it here and there. I plan on sharing more, hopefully, with my son. There's a lot of things I would love to share. I care very deeply about the family he has been grown up with. I have concerns only because he's not in my life and I don't really know what's going on. I want to know what's going on. I'm tired of fighting with everybody about things. So my instinct is, you know what? Just because you think you should stick around and keep fighting doesn't mean that that's my idea of life. You know what? Sometimes you just have to let things go and move on. Okay? Because I got to be honest. If I had a kid after the life I had, I want the other parent to be involved. But I know now, from studying psychology and stuff, that the bottom line is I'm not going to go out and force that parent to be in its life. That's wrong. That's unhealthy. However, I'm not going to make it impossible. I'm not going to make it impossible for my child to have a relationship with that other parent. Okay? That's not a sign of love for my own kid. Because my kid needs to be balanced, well-balanced, and make its own opinion, its own mind. That's why I'm sharing my story with you. Okay? I'm a crazy person, you know? And can I just say, I have forgiveness for everyone and everything because I wouldn't be who I am. You wouldn't be who you are. What happened years ago happened years ago. We're living in the now. If we keep worrying about what happened years ago, we're never going to fully be healed and move on. So we study the history. That's what I'm doing. I'm taking it back in time from the day I was born to me now being almost 41 this month. I am a transsexual lady that has had serious struggles my whole life. I have been raped by the people closest to me. I have been beat up continuously. I had to skip school, so I don't have much of an education. Music was always my passion. I love muscle cars, and I love the things that I was exposed to at a very young age, and I continue to be that way to this day. My psychiatrist, my mental doctors, I was in 2 mental facilities, and you know what they all said? Deal with it. They said, Tracilyn, you gotta learn how to deal with it. You have a childlike mentality. Deal with it. You're a transgendered lady. Deal with it. You have to play music or you're gonna die. Deal with it. Deal with it. Deal with it. And I'm telling with you, we have to come to a point in our life where we deal with it. Now, how it comes out, I don't know. We gotta have forgiveness for ourselves and for the other people in our lives. I'm beginning to realize a lot of times that the world has a standard of boy and girl. They have all these different standards. Here's an idea. So a girl looks this way, a guy looks this way, and we have other things to talk about with this, but let's just say, you're either a boy or you're a girl is the way the world tells it. And can I tell you something? My dad, from what I know, he was a man. My mother, from what I know, is considered a lady to the world's standards, I'm saying. I have both of them in me. I have both of them in me. Why do I have to be one or the other? You ever play with that idea? I have. Sometimes people will talk to me and they'll say, you have multiple personalities. I've talked to other people who said that. We're taught we only need one personality, that's it. If you get mad or you start going off, or you use different voices all the time. Right? I can talk up here. Hi guys, how are you doing? Or I can talk way down here and say, hey brother, what's going on? I can do all kinds of things. This is my voice right here. Right now when I'm being quiet. All I want to say is this. What we've been taught is ideas, standards, expectations. And we let that dominate and control us our whole entire life. So much that it destroys lives of other people. And we're all scratching our head. How do we figure all this out? I don't understand. And all of a sudden we start pointing the finger. Shame and blame, shame and blame, shame and blame. You can't hit the standard that the world has set upon you. Shame on you. Okay? Let me tell you something. People get tortured seriously because of this. Witches. You ever hear of witchcraft? Oh, I love it. I believe that was a witch in another life. Kind of weird, huh? And I really tapped into that when I went up to Salem in Massachusetts. Anybody who knows about that, you can look it up. Very interesting. I had some spiritual encounters that happened there. I believe very strongly that I was a witch at one time in a different life. I believe that we're transitioning on. You can look around nature and you begin to realize that that seems to be more of a realistic truth than the things that we've been told. And you can look in nature and you can see how different animals, different species, sometimes It may be that, because I didn't study too deep with it, that the mom and the dad are both there, the parents. A lot of times not. A lot of times not. I don't want to get too heavy about things that I don't really know and I haven't studied the science about. I'm just sharing with you my own personal thoughts about my life journey. Things that I'm not proud of. Things that I struggled with. Things I want to openly share, get out of my system. I'm doing a catch-up series. I didn't finish everything today that I was hoping to. This is very draining. I tell you, I've been watching these videos, listening to my voice, looking at myself, and I'm disappointed. Because of stress, confusion, anger, frustration. Did I say that? Frustration. Anxieties are kicking in. I want to get this all out of my system as much as possible. And I keep saying I wanted to write a book. Things happened. I wanted to take time and categorize everything. Work things out. So when I go to talk, that I could be sensitive to other people's feelings. I wouldn't hurt them. I don't want to hurt anybody. Let's be honest, a lot of people are very sensitive to things. I'm sensitive. But I used to walk around with my head held down low. And I used to believe that I was everything that everybody said I was. Loser. My dad called me a puss. Sissy. Now people are picking on me, beating me up. Now people are just all kinds of things. All kinds of things. I don't need to repeat anything. So I'm looking for escape. I'm pretending. I'm using my imagination. Most of that's through music. And I gotta tell you, it's not an easy life for me. But most of us could probably say, it's not an easy life, Tracilyn. Get over it. Aren't you the one who keeps saying, get over it? Get over it. Get over it, Tracilyn. Well, I'm getting over it. I'm learning to get over it. And I'm here to say, I look ridiculous now. I'm not going to lie to you. When I was getting heavy into going to church back in the early 2000s and mid-2000s, see these rocks here? I used to come back here. I was reading the Bible faithfully. Over and over again. I read many different versions of the Bible as far as to, I probably won't remember now, but, they have the James King version, NLT, is it? Can you write down the different versions? There's different versions. Some of it they kind of changed the wording over the years to try to make it a little bit easier for the generations to understand. So I read the different versions. Some of them several times, and I took notes, and I would reread these notes. What I was doing is brainwashing myself. Crazy, huh? I was going to these facilities, this one specific church in Lancaster County, and I was sitting there. And I'm going to talk about that another day. But at some point I recognized very early that I was being brainwashed. Now, I'm not saying that they were doing it on purpose. At this time, I'm not saying that. But can I just say that's the way I felt it immediately. I'm being programmed. Can I just tell you that I've learned in life you become what you eat? And I'm talking about what you read. The images in your mind, what other people are feeding you. It's very dangerous to sit somewhere for 45 minutes, a half hour, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and listen to somebody speak, even myself to you. It's very dangerous. Because whether you want to or not, eventually over a season of time, you fall into agreement with them and you start to be convinced, unknowingly, if you will, that what they're telling you is true. And I'm here to tell you, that church out there, even if it's my fault, I'll take the responsibility, was the beginning process of destroying me. Okay? Biggest mistake I ever made in my life was going to that church. When I used to read that Bible, in the Bibles that I was reading. I was also watching television programs, and you'll get to know a little bit more about that as time goes on. Notice the tone of my voice and everything has changed. We used to come back here on the rocks, I did, with my dog. And while he was running around doing different things, trying to make his way back here to me, I would go deep into the woods and I would stand on these rocks. I wish I could reenact it for you. And I started preaching as though, just like the pastors were at the church that I was going to, I started imitating what they were doing out here. And it was pretty remarkable because animals would actually come up to me. Animals would literally come up to me. Bunny rabbits, squirrels, you know. Snakes, tarantulas, alligators. No, I'm just kidding. Alligators. No, there ain't no there better not be no alligators around here. Deer. And I remember it just did weird things to me because my head at that time started becoming foggy. Everything started to seem a little blurry. Unlike today where everything around me seems very shiny and beautiful. And you'll find out when I get to share that story that through my life journey, after going to this facility, that was my biggest complaint. I didn't know if I needed glasses. I didn't know what was going on. My head felt different. It was a start of an amazing life journey, right? Amazing journey, but at the same token, in the end, it was like somebody took my head and smacked it on that rock over there. It was the most painful awakening I ever had in my life. All the things that I believed, most certainly, were not true. And now, after coming back from Las Vegas, I got to live life on the street and see things for what they really were. It's going to be hard for me to share with you because I wanted to care for these people. The people on television, people who were teaching me. I wanted to believe that they had the best interest for me, but I found out in the end, my perspective. Okay? We'll share that another time. Just to give you some insight, this is where I used to come up here to pretend again in my 20s. I thought I was talking to a God up there. Okay? This is who I was talking to. Right here. That's who I was talking to. I wasn't talking to no God. And do I have a full understanding of the mind, of the consciousness, awareness? No. Get this, it's much more like our computers. Programs. Anybody who programs or seen a program, you can program things to make it a reality on the computer. You can program yourself, and I'm telling you this right now, the world does. What we are what we've been told we are. I'm really tired from everything that I shared. They were very sensitive subjects, so I don't want to get too heavily into it now. Just something for you to think about. If you keep going around life believing everything that everybody's telling you, you are going to be held back from the life that you were meant to live. My child's mother. Right? Said everything she could to make me feel guilty for following my dream, for living my life, doing what I felt was best for my family. Doing what I felt was best for the family. I'm not saying it was. What I felt. And looking back now, it's what I had to do. And I was doing the right thing for the first time in my life. I was standing up for what I believed in and taking a chance. And I found people who believed in me, by the way, which is an amazing story. These same people, of course, later on turned away from me when I needed them the most. Okay? Sometimes when you stand up for what you believe in, you end up losing everything. That's happened to me several times, maybe several of you out there. You stood up for what you believed in and you lost everything too in the process. Very painful. I stood up for Riggs outside in the hot heat. It was really hot that day. No drink, no nothing. I'm not saying anything bad about anybody else. I'm just saying I stood up. Time for separation. I found out in life, usually when I stand up for myself, I end up losing. Losing what I was connected to. In this situation, I lost my dog, and I lost that relationship temporarily because now we're friends again. In other relationships, it was other family members, whether it was their child, sometimes my own. Very painful. Right now I'm kind of babbling about nothing. I'm going to start heading back down to the car. I'm tired. I have so much to share yet. I love you guys. And I hope you give me time to finish up my life journey here. Excuse me. Did I just burp? Because when I start talking about my transsexual, coming out as a girl, being an adult entertainer, an escort, falling into BDSM, oh, let me tell you, a lot of exciting journeys happened within that time frame. Remember, I was programmed, brainwashed, preacher lady, boy, man, I don't know, girl, lady.